Know the top stories of the day. Understand the issues that matter. This is Manila Bulletin News on Web. Your quick rundown of top news in the country and around the world. Manila Bulletin, celebrating 120 years of timely stories and timeless truths. Be fully informed. Hi, I'm Rabiya Mateo. This is MB Now, and here are your news on web. President Rodrigo Roa Duterte has vowed to send warships to lay claim to the resources in the disputed part of the waterway if China starts drilling for oil resources in the West Philippine Sea. According to the president, the country would conduct its own oil drilling and mine whatever is ours if China would hold mineral exploration over the area. Duterte, addressing the nation Monday night, April 19, said he wanted to remain friends with China but would insist on the need to share whatever oil and mineral resources that will be found in the contested waters. Duterte maintained that he does not want any quarrel with China, but if it begins mining for oil, he would confront the Asian giant. But at present, Duterte refused to confront China over the territorial dispute amid concerns it would be bloody. He admitted that there was no way for the country to take back the sea without any bloodshed, and even if he travels to the West Philippine Sea, he conceded that nothing will happen since we are not in the possession of the sea.
Sinabi ko naman sa inyo sa Chinese government, I'm not so much interested now in fishing. I don't think there's enough fish really to worry about. But when we start to mine, when we start to get whatever it is in the bowels of the China Sea, sa ating oil, dyan na ako. But by that time, I will send my ships there. I will send my gray ships there to state a claim. Pag kinuha na yung oil, kung anong mga nickel dyan, and precious stones, that would be the time, because that is the time that we should act on it. Pag mag-umpisa na sila ng drill ng oil dyan, sabihin ko talaga sa China, is that part of our agreement? Because if it is not part of our agreement, I'm going to also to drill my oil there. If you own it, I own it. I do not want to quarrel, but that is how.
President Duterte said there was no point of working together with the military if some officers planned to withdraw support from him. Duterte admitted he was discouraged when he learned about the alleged plans to withdraw support from his administration. The chief executive was referring to the command conference with the heads of the armed forces of the Philippines, after which Defense Secretary Delfin Lorenzana submitted to him a document full of foolery. Anytime that Lorenzana and other generals tell him that it's time for him to go, Duterte said he would step down and go home to Davao City. Last week, reports that a Viber group thread consisting of active and retired military officials exists supposedly to withdraw their support from the chief executive. One of the contentions is that the officials are dismayed over the president's weak stance against Beijing over incursions into the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. Lorenzana and Lieutenant General Cirilito Sabiana, the Armed Forces Chief of Staff, denied that they are a part of the Viber group. But reports of the existence of the thread persists, and Duterte himself hinted that he has shown or was shown some of what was written there.
Ako, I am ready. I anak ng waiting. If just a matter of going there and looking for trouble and maybe violence, okay sa akin. But I said, at what cost would that be to the country? And if we go there, and really to find out and to assert jurisdiction, he said it would be bloody. It will result in a violence that we cannot maybe win. In a command conference, I was so talagang downhearted ako because I expected the military to perform well now. Yung sinabi ko, ako nandito ako kasi pagkakala ko makatulong ako sa bayan sa Pilipinas. If we cannot work together with just by medicines, then maybe we cannot to work together on bigger things. So what's the point? Sinabi ko talaga sa kanila, I do not work where I am not needed. Then kayo na mag-explain. Explain to the Filipino people bakit ganon.
The country may finally receive its first supply of the highly anticipated Pfizer vaccines from the United States by the end of the month, once all legal requirements are settled, according to Vaccine Czar Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr. In a Monday night televised address April 19, Galvez said that 195,000 doses of Pfizer vaccines may be shipped into the country through the COVAX facility by the end of April. Galvez added that the additional 2.4 million doses of Pfizer vaccines that were secured by the government through a bilateral agreement with the American manufacturer may also be delivered early in the second quarter. Philippine Ambassador to the United States Jose Manuel Romualdez said in a television interview last week that the government has already resolved the legal issues with Pfizer. The Pfizer vaccine is one of the most sought-after brands of jabs against COVID-19 around the world due to its high efficacy rate of 94.7%. President Duterte is prepared to withdraw an executive order on the temporary reduction of import tariffs of pork products once the domestic supply improves. Duterte explained that he understood the sentiment of the senators opposed to the tariff cut on imported pork, adding it would be easy to recall his order. But for now, the president insisted that the lower tariff regime was just a temporary measure necessary to augment local pork supply and bring down the prices in the country. The Senate Committee of the Whole recently adopted a resolution urging the president to withdraw EO 128 on the temporary reduction of rates of import duty for pork products for a year. The senators are concerned that the lower tariffs might kill the local hog industry. Under EO 128, signed last April 7, the import tariff for fresh, chilled, or frozen pork will be lowered to 5% from 30% under the minimum access volume quota for the next 3 months. The rate will be adjusted to 10% in the next 9 months, and after 12 months, it will return to the 30% tariff rates. On pork imports beyond the quota, the tariff rate will be cut to 15% from 40% for the first 3 months and will be raised to 20% in the next 9 months, and the rate will be back to 40% after a year. The president's decision on lower tariff rates came days after asking Congress to increase the MAV for pork imports this year by 350,000 metric tons. In his remarks Monday, the president recognized that senators wanted to protect the local hog raisers, but asserted that his economic managers were really in favor of lower import tariffs on pork to stabilize domestic prices.
Kung medyo malakas na yung domestic market and there is a movement, madali lang naman eh. We can always withdraw the EO that I signed. Madali lang man yan. It's just a temporary measure really to bring down the prices. But the senators see it in different light. And I can understand from where the senators come from. There is also the domestic supply which they intend to protect, and they are vehement about it. I know that they're insisting to it, while we, the managers of yung mga managers ng departamento ko, kami yung nag-i-implement, kami yung nagpapagalaw, we implement certain measures that would redound, we believe, to the benefit of the people.
Now here's a roundup of news in and around Metro Manila. Let's watch this report.
A group of women was caught on video taking all the goods from a community pantry in Barangay Capitolio, Pasig City. The CCTV footage of 6 women taking all the pantry's goods was uploaded by Carla Kyoge on Facebook, which has gone viral and shared on various social media platforms. Kyoge said the group of women who had eco bags with them took 2 trays of eggs, loaves of bread, and other goods from the community pantry. Despite this incident at the Capitolio Community Pantry, Kyoge said that they will continue the community pantry. She said a lot of people have contacted her to make a donation to the pantry. A Quezon City resident has managed to grow more than 100 tilapia at home. Bong Burgos harvested tilapia from a fish pond he built inside his house in Barangay Bagong Silang, according to the local government. A photo of Burgos showing of his harvest of around 15 fish placed on a plastic strainer was uploaded on a local government's Facebook page. Burgos Fish Pond was part of the local government's urban aquaculture project led by the city's Sustainable Development Affairs Unit and urban agriculture program called Grow QC. It was aimed at helping hog raisers affected by the African swine fever and COVID-19 pandemic. Social media users praised Burgos for growing fish not only for his family but also for his neighbors. The Philippine Animal Welfare Society, or PAWS, put up a community pantry in Quezon City in an effort to help indigent pet owners feed their furry friends. The pantry is located in front of Paw Animal Rehabilitation Center on Aurora Boulevard in Katipunan Valley, Loyola Heights. It is open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Mondays to Saturdays except holidays. The pantry has a variety of dog food to offer to pet owners. PAWS said they're currently scarce with cat food, so they were not able to include one in the pantry. The group, however, assured that they will provide pet food as long as they have extra supplies. PAWS also encouraged others to set up their own pantry in their respective communities.
Now, let's take a look at the latest news in other parts of the country. Here are the details.
89% of healthcare workers in San Jose del Monte, Bulacan received their COVID-19 vaccines. In a statement, as of April 6, 2021, the City Health Department has vaccinated 88.81% or 3,459 out of the 3,895 healthcare workers. In addition to them, 22,039 senior citizens who have registered to get the vaccines have already been inoculated. Also, the city has already vaccinated 100% of the 220 targeted people with comorbidities. San Jose del Monte is targeting 70% inoculation of its around 1 million residents to achieve herd immunity. The Magat River Integrated Irrigation System Dam and Reservoir Division started releasing water from Magat Dam in Isabela at 6 a.m. on Tuesday, April 20, as a precautionary measure against the possible threat of Typhoon Bising. Residents were provided a 24-hour lead time before the opening of one of the dam's spillway gates. Magat Dam's water level was at 190.22 meters at around 6 a.m. on Tuesday, 2.78 meters short of its 193 meter spilling level. The regulation of outflow from Magat Dam is done to mitigate potential flood damage to the downstream communities. The Zamboanga City government will no longer require a negative result of RT-PCR test to persons fully vaccinated upon entering the city. This after the city health officials said on Monday that a person who is considered fully immunized 2 weeks after receiving the second dose of vaccine does not need an RT-PCR test. However, those fully vaccinated persons exhibiting symptoms of coronavirus disease will still be required to undergo an RT-PCR test even if they show their certificate of vaccination. Some 3,019 medical frontliners in the A1 category have already received their second dose of either Sinovac or AstraZeneca in the city.
Here are the updates from around the world, and here is that report.
Over 100 million doses of Russia's Sputnik vaccine will be produced in China per year, the Russian Direct Investment Fund announced Monday. RDIF, which co-developed Sputnik V, said it has partnered with China's Hualian Biological Bacteria Incorporated to produce doses of Russia's vaccines. RDIF Chief Executive Officer Kirill Dmitriev, for his part, said that partnership with China helped significantly increase the production capacities of Sputnik V. Sputnik V has been registered in over 60 countries based on data from medical journal The Lancet. The Russian vaccine has an efficacy of 91.6%. The World Health Organization's Emergency Committee said Monday it was against international travelers being required to have proof of vaccination, partly on grounds that this measure would deepen iniquities. The group's recommendation comes as numerous countries are mulling launching vaccine passports for travelers but also for other activities including sports. The idea, however, has met with criticisms, with many saying it would lead to discrimination between young and old as well as rich and poor. Some have also raised privacy concerns. The WHO's Emergencies Committee also discussed other issues during its meeting last week, including increasing access to COVID-19 vaccines and reducing national and global inequities as far as access to vaccines. NASA successfully flew its mini helicopters Ingenuity on Mars early Monday, the first powered flight on another planet and a feat the agency linked to a Wright brothers moment. The 4-pound rotocraft lifted off at 3:34 a.m. Eastern Time, rose to a height of 10 feet, swiveled its tissue box-sized body, swayed in a gentle Martian breeze, and then touched down after 39.1 seconds. Data and images from the flight were transmitted 278 million kilometers back to Earth, where they were received by NASA's array of ground antennas and processed almost 3.5 hours later. Engineers in orange polo shirts were glued to their screens at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in California, where the mission had been planned for the past 6 years.
Now, let's find out the latest news in showbiz. Let's watch this.
Miss Universe Philippines Rabiya Mateo has received a warm welcome from pageant fans during her arrival in Fort Lauderdale, Florida for the 69th Miss Universe competition. Jonas Gafford, creative director of Miss Universe Philippines, and the rest of the Philippine delegation shared snaps and video of Rabiya's arrival in Florida. Gafford also shared that Rabiya will focus on her training for the next coming weeks while strictly observing health protocols. More than 70 candidates will vie for the title of Miss Universe 2020 in Hollywood, Florida on May 16 or May 17 in Manila.
And here are the latest from Manila Bulletin Sports section. Let's watch this.
Tokyo Olympics-bound boxer Eumir arrived in the country from the US early Tuesday, April 20, together with International Boxing Federation IBF super flyweight champion Jerwin Ancajas, giving him ample time to join the national team in its training camp abroad. Association of Boxing Alliances in the Philippines Secretary General Ed Picson said that ABAP is in constant communication with Marshall even when the latter was in Los Angeles. Marshall is one of the 4 Filipino boxers that earned a spot in the Tokyo Olympics. Irish Magno, Nesty Petesio, and Carlo Paalam left in early March for Bangkok with 12 other members of the boxing team for a training camp and a few in mini tournaments in Thailand. Aside from Thailand, the national team is also eyeing a possible training camp in India before the ASBC meet on May 21 to 30 in New Delhi. After he clinched a spot in Tokyo Olympics, the 25-year-old Marshall opted to turn professional a few months later when he signed a deal with MP Promotions of Senator Manny Pacquiao.
And those are the news on Web today, April 20, 2021. For more news and details, get your copy of the Manila Bulletin newspaper tomorrow, or you can log on to www.mb.com.ph, or you may also subscribe to our newsletter through the link on this video's caption to have the day's latest news delivered to your inbox. I am Rabiya Mateo for Manila Bulletin. Join us again tomorrow. This has been MB Now. Be fully informed.